You're fine. No, go ahead.
So, good afternoon. Thank you for meeting with me
Absolutely.
today. I do apologize. We switched the times.
No worries.
So last time I came into class, I gave you feedback to pause scholars and give them the clear expectations before releasing them to the exit ticket. And then when I was in, I observed you doing that the next time. And so I saw you telling scholars to put all materials away, work independently at a level 0, and prepare to take the exit ticket until the bell rings.
Yep.
What impact do you think that had on the student results for the exit ticket?
I think like it just gives me a truer understanding of what they know in that moment versus like what they can recall from like the information from their notes. So at the end of a lesson, have they internalized what was being taught?
And so do you think that it impacted the mastery?
Yeah, definitely.
How so?
Well, I don't like so I think like for me it's been more challenging because whatever I'm teaching, like whatever I have to teach in that time frame has to be taught to mastery. Like they have to know it.
Yes.
And so in some cases that makes it a much more challenging day. But I see the benefit because then I know whether or not like they actually are retaining it or not.
Yeah, so retaining it and then actually if, I need to reteach this lesson or a particular part of the lesson where the gap was. So now I'm going to jump into the part of the lesson and I want to talk about is the model part. Okay, the model / I do, where you're modeling for scholars. Okay?
Okay.
And so when we go into the lesson, and in this specific lesson, and we can pull it up if you, you can have mine.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Actually, is it in? Yep, did I put two?
You did.
Yes. Oh, no, this is Wednesday, the one that I was in observing.
Oh,
On,
last week?
yes.
Got it. That was the one where they were doing transcription and translation. That was week 2. That's my visual. And that was Mondays. All right.
Got it?
Yep.
So looking at Monday's lesson, I always keep like giving those clear, specific directions that you gave in during the exit ticket, and jumping into the I do. What part of the lesson, or what did you want scholars to know at the end of this lesson? What should they have shown in order for you to understand if they've gained mastery?
Right. So
During that model portion.
Yeah, so the overall arching goal is to get to mastery of this exit ticket, which is being able to identify all of the different aspects of the process of transcription and translation. So being able to identify all of the pieces. So this was the very first day that they were introduced to transcription translation, and so I started with having them watch a video, and then what I'm noticing as they're watching the video is that like it's not clicking with them, and so then that's when I that's when I pulled up Naeem without planning that, and had him walk through, but like the kids were still not getting it, and the exit ticket mastery was really low.
And so now thinking about the exit ticket mastery being really low with that lesson, right? And then what you did different in the I do portion.
Yeah.
Right? And so now we're gonna take a look at lesson 426.
Got it.
Okay? And I have copies for both of us.
Yeah, in that class that you witnessed, only 3 kids mastered the exit ticket.
And so our goal is to get kids to mastery, right? Meaning that they've internalized and interpret the information that is given to them during class.
Yep.
And so now jumping into the pre-work part for this lesson for 2-6, I'm gonna go ahead and give you 25 seconds, 30 seconds to read the objective.
Okay.
And think about what should scholars leave, when scholars leave the classroom after this lesson, what should they know?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and tell me what should scholars know, interpret, or internalize?
Okay. So they need to be able to understand that there can be a correlation, like a positive correlation, negative correlation, when one rises the other. Like there can be a correlation between 2 sets of data that share an independent variable. However, just because there's some sort of relationship does not mean that they are related, meaning like one causing the other.
Yes.
So when I think about that, I think about like the really simple one that we always use about like ice cream sales and violent crime. So like when you look at your independent variable
I'm
of,
gonna pause you right there.
yep,
Okay,
yep,
so just stamping.
yes, that, you
So
got it.
stamp that scholars should be able to identify a correlation between 2 sets of data. However,
Yes.
go ahead.
So they should be able to identify a correlation between 2 sets of data. However, they should be able to like look at that further and determine whether or not one directly caused the other.
Okay, with evidence.
Correct.
Okay.
Or evaluate evidence to see whether or not it's a causational effect.
Okay. So basically cause and effect and evidence to support it.
Yep.
Okay. So looking at this lesson and going into the start of class or the modeling, what do you need to communicate to scholars in order for them to learn this?
So I need to communicate to them.
So I'm pausing myself. So what do you need to communicate and how will you communicate this during that modeling piece?
Yeah, so it looks like I'm going to have a direct model where I'm going to be comparing 2 sets of data. And those 2 sets of data would have the same independent variable. I would like first look for relational like keys, right? So like one is increasing, so is the other. Like a positive relationship correlation or a negative. So I would be identifying what sort of relationship they had. And then from there, I would be determining like based on evidence in the model, like did they provide enough evidence to say that one justifies the other?
Okay. So I will pause you there, okay?
Yeah.
And from this model, I want you to think about what's the difference between what you just shared, right? And then what I am sharing and what I'm doing, okay? With scholars.
Got it. The difference between the two.
Yep, the difference.
Okay.
So today, scholars, we are going to learn about the correlation between data, but we need to know evidence and have evidence to show that. So I want you to follow along with me as I am annotating and listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to label my independent and my dependent variable. I want to know how my independent variable is affecting my dependent variable. That data is going to be my cause. I'm going to write cause right here because I know the dependent variable is something that we measure, and it's a cause from the effect of my independent variable, and I'm going to put effect over here by my independent variable. Why is it important for me to identify a cause and effect and relate it to independent and dependent variable? Pause. So you share with me what the difference between you and I. What I did and what I said.
So yours is much more concrete, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're listing specific actions.
Mm-hmm.
So like naming what the IV and DV are.
But pause. Did I just name it, or was I doing something on my paper as well?
You were annotating it too.
Yep. So one thing we could establish like annotations, right?
Yeah.
And then also too, it was something else I was doing.
I don't know.
So when I said, why is it important for me to annotate my independent and dependent variable and connect it to my cause and effect, right? Those are my think alouds.
Oh yeah, your think alouds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then so you're naming the independent and dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're annotating. Also, you have your think alouds, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else like should be able to be shown with scholars for them to get to that point of mastery for this objective? Just think about like you're modeling this, and what should scholars, as you're modeling this?
Oh yeah, they're copying it down. Like their paper matches board.
Yes. Okay. So with those three things, go ahead and name the three things.
So annotations,
Mhm.
think alouds, and paper matches board.
Yes. So, do you think when you were modeling the lesson prior, you had those annotations to think aloud and consistently check for scholars' paper matches board?
No.
Okay. So, with these things in place, do you think it'll improve the mastery or not?
I think that it's a step in the right direction. I don't necessarily know that it will improve it or not,
Mhm.
but I think that like that's got to be our first check. So like if those things existed, like I think these three things are good things,
Mhm.
so they should exist.
Mhm.
I don't know if that would have changed. I can't speak to whether or not it would have changed the mastery because I didn't do them, but I think it's a good step.
I think it will because one, like with your annotations, you're definitely showing kids the annotations like this is what I'm specifically annotating and why, right? I'm not annotating the color blue because the color blue has nothing to do with this experiment or this data, right? I'm annotating independent variable because I'm the scientist, I'm changing this. Dependent variable, I, the scientist, is measuring this. Also, too, when we hear that scientific language, I know that my independent variable is my effect and my dependent variable is my cause, which is then going to push them to understand the correlation between different sets of data with evidence.
Yeah, so I think that, yes. So to speak to, will it improve this? Absolutely.
Yes.
I think anything that it includes, like, anything that is related directly to the CCRS standards, yes,
Okay.
it will improve. I think that my gap is, what does this look like in a situation where I am introing, like, transcription translation? So like in a situation where I am, for the very beginning, just going to teach them about transcription and translation, how does the, how
So
would these things?
the CCRS mastery is separate from your your NGSS.
Yeah.
So you definitely can show it, but it will have to be shown in a graph or a data table that's showing the cause and effect of transcription and translation, and I can do that.
Yeah.
Aside from
Yeah. No, that makes sense too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's specifically speaking like, oh, this, like it literally says the independent and dependent variable and validity of evidence. So you want to be able to identify and connect those.
No, yeah, I
But
for sure
when
can.
you
I
have
for sure
transcription and translation, then we can take a deeper step into actually gathering data from transcription, translation, and putting it into a graph where you have an independent, dependent variable, and then you're pulling evidence from that.
Yes. That makes sense.
Okay, so now after like naming that gap, so we know that the annotations have to be there, the think aloud has to be there, and the paper must match its board. Okay, I'm going to add one last thing. With the paper matching board, at some point we have to pause, right? So go ahead and write pause, and while you're pausing, you're scanning to see
if they're actually following through.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. So
Sorry.
you're fine. You go ahead and write it.
Sorry.
I'm gonna ask you for it in the second part.
Sure. So there have been a couple of annotations that we've been coming up with in class for different types of questions. And so I think like having an anchor chart that says like, here's what they should look like and these types of questions would be really important so that then we can check against them. Sorry. So then I just wanted to write them down before I forgot them.
No, it's totally fine.
All right.
So now, with you knowing that, and step those for me, the gaps that we named.
Yeah, so when I'm modeling answering questions, in my model, I should have annotations that I would expect the students to copy, think alouds that explain why I'm doing certain things and why I'm not doing others. And then at that same time, like, I should be expecting scholars to mimic exactly what I'm doing. And then from there, I will pause and scan to verify throughout my process.
Yes.
And when I'm verifying that the paper matches board.
Yes.
Cool.
So now that we've named that, so now you are going to create a script for that model, okay? And so I'm going to put, we can put 3 minutes on there. If you get done before that, you would just flag me.
Got it.
And then we're gonna go into practice, okay?
Cool.